The aim of this session is to talk through how to complete a Mann Whitney U test using JASP. In this particular data set, I have three groups, so I'm going to need to be aware of that. I have a control group who did nothing, placebo group, and a collagen group who received the supplementation of collagen in terms of trying to improve their hip range of motion, which is assessed up here in my dependent variable. First of all, I would need to check the distribution of the data. For this particular data set, I'm going to skip past that stage because I want to complete a Mann Whitney U test and show you how to use that. If you want to work out how to check the distribution, have a look at one of my other videos. Mann Whitney U tests are hidden within the t-tests bracket and independent samples t-tests. Now, the default options that we get within JASP is it automatically selects a t-test for us. So we're going to deselect that and select Mann Whitney U. Notice that it starts to change over here. Now, the first thing that I need to do is tell which groups, the computer, which groups I want to assess. So I'm going to jump back here to my data set. Let's click on this grouping value here, and I want to do a Mann Whitney U test between the control group and the placebo group. So I'm going to deselect the collagen group. Notice down here their scores have been grayed out, so they're no longer part of the output. I'm going to go back to my t-tests where I've already selected things. You can use these arrow buttons either side of the window to move between different windows in JASP. I'm going to move the hip range of motion percentage over as my dependent variable into the variables column and move my grouping variable over here. You start to see output already appear, which is good. And I want to add my effect size criteria in terms of selecting it. Now, it selects Cohen's D down here, but when we're using a Mann Whitney U test, it gives us rank by serial R instead. In terms of checking things, I don't need to worry about equality of variance or normality because I'm going to assume that my data is not normally distributed. I am, however, going to have a little look at my descriptive statistics just to give me an indication. Now, because I'm using a Mann Whitney U, I really should be using a median and interquartile range. But if I have a quick look at these results here, it just gives me an indication of the direction of those differences. Okay, in this particular case, the placebo has a slightly greater improvement in hip range of motion. When I say slightly greater, what will be classed using rank by serial R as a large difference. So, in summary, when you're using a Mann Whitney U test, you need to go through the t-test functionality to get access to it and change some of the options here. Now, in terms of setup and structure, it still keeps referring to independent samples t-tests and Cohen's D, which would be appropriate for an independent samples t-test, but for a Mann Whitney U test, the statistics do come through differently. We get the sum of ranks here, our probability value, and then our effect size values here. I hope this helps in terms of understanding how to use JASP to calculate a Mann Whitney U test.